Ever wonder what millions of people are actually typing into Google when they think about college? Well, today we're going to decode those digital breadcrumbs. We're looking at what all that search data tells us about the future of higher education, what the hopes, the fears, and the real priorities are that will shape the college search in 2026. Let's dive right in.
So, what is it? What's the number one thing on people's minds when they're considering a university? What are they typing into that little search bar day in and day out? The answer tells us a fascinating and maybe even surprising story about what really matters in education today.
Take a look at this number, over 70 million, every single month. What could possibly create that much buzz in higher ed? Is it a groundbreaking new degree? A massive scholarship program? Actually, the answer is a lot simpler and way more powerful.
That's right. 70 million searches a month are for just one school, Harvard. And that single data point tells us something huge about the university landscape. For all the talk about change, the power of a big, prestigious brand is stronger than ever. And that's really where our story begins.
So let's start with part one, the enduring race for prestige. Because even as the world changes around us, that drive to get into a top-tier school is still a massive force, shaping millions of searches and, ultimately, life-changing decisions. And it's not just Harvard, of course. Searches for things like Ivy League and university rankings are always at the top. People are looking for a clear signal of quality, a way to make sense of a really crowded marketplace. They want to know who's at the top of the food chain. And check this out. This just drives the point home. When the new 2026 rankings from QS and Times Higher Education came out, searches for them shot up by 40%. People aren't just casually curious. They're actively using these lists to compare everything from job prospects to research output. They're trying to justify that huge investment. You know what's really interesting here is how these numbers create the mystique, right? An acceptance rate of just 3.2%, right next to a $50 billion endowment, that creates this incredible allure. That exclusivity is exactly what drives that insane search volume we saw earlier. And hey, this isn't just about bragging rights. There's a tangible return on investment here. Studies show that the networks you build at these elite schools can lead to 20% higher earnings over a lifetime. For a lot of people, that potential payoff makes the whole crazy competition feel worth it. But prestige, it's only part of the story. Okay, so let's pivot to our second big theme, the demand for secure careers. Because beyond the Ivy League dream, the data shows this powerful countertrend, a very practical, very real search for degrees that lead directly to stable, secure jobs. We're seeing a huge spike in searches for really specific vocational programs. People want a clear return on their tuition dollars. So terms like nursing, MBA, and online degrees are just exploding because they offer a straight line to a better career. And here's a number that explains why. $80,000. That's the median salary for a registered nurse in the US. In an economy that feels uncertain, a number like that provides a really powerful sense of security. In fact, nursing is the single most searched for academic program in the entire world. And that's not a coincidence. It's a direct response to a global shortage of 4 million nurses. People are looking for a career that's not just recession-proof, but one that really matters. This practical mindset extends to how people learn, too. A full third of all higher ed students are now either hybrid or fully remote. Searches for online colleges have blown up, offering the kind of flexibility needed by working adults, who, by the way, now make up 40% of all students. So, whether you're chasing prestige or a practical career, everyone runs into the same giant hurdle: cost. And that brings us to our third and maybe most urgent theme. $1.7 trillion. That is the staggering amount of student loan debt just in the United States. A number that big hangs over every single decision a student or their family makes, and it is fundamentally changing the game. And as a direct result of that, searches for things like scholarships, student loan forgiveness, and community college are at an all-time high. People are actively and sometimes desperately hunting for ways to get that degree without a lifetime of debt. And this slide right here makes the logic crystal clear. $40,000 a year for an average private university versus just $4,000 for a community college. For millions of families, that 10 times difference makes the choice, well, undeniable. And the crucial thing to understand here is that community college isn't a backup plan anymore. For so many, it's a brilliant strategic move. You can earn an affordable 2-year degree, then transfer to a 4-year university. And the data shows you have an 80% success rate of finishing that bachelor's degree. So, What does this all mean when you put it together? You've got the pull of prestige, the need for a secure career, and the overwhelming challenge of cost. These three forces are painting a really clear picture of the future of education.
So here are the key takeaways. For students, the focus has to be on employability. For parents, it's about aggressively hunting down every scholarship you can find. And for the universities themselves, it's a huge wake-up call to start highlighting the specific programs people are actually searching for, like nursing and online MBAs.
And if we look just over the horizon, we can already see the next wave forming. It's really no surprise that with industries being totally reshaped by technology, searches for degrees in AI and machine learning are growing by 50% year over year. Sustainability majors are on a rapid rise too. The search bar is literally predicting the jobs of tomorrow. Okay, so this landscape is complex and it is changing fast, which makes staying informed absolutely critical. For all the latest research, trend analysis, and even job openings in higher education, academicjobs.com is really the essential resource you need to stay ahead of the curve.
And that leaves us with one final question. In a world of AI, remote work, and a constant need for new skills, how we think about education itself is changing in a fundamental way. So, what will you search for next? Thanks for watching.